Yeah.
And somehow that reached like Mrs. Skirbo and Mrs. Yost.
Mrs. Yost told me that you had a tattoo and to ask you about it, so I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, and there's no such tattoo. But some teachers believe that I did.
And they probably still do.
So we had a laugh about it, but no tattoos.
Yeah, and then Mrs. Yost also said that you went to Bucknell.
I did, yeah.
And then you also went to Eastburg. You didn't go.
Yeah, I went to East Stroudsburg High School. I graduated from East Stroudsburg in 1994. Graduated from Bucknell in 1998.
So you've been going to school for like a long time.
Yeah, I've never really left school.
Yeah, you're always learning
went
something.
to college, and then I subbed for a year. Then I taught for a year at East Stroudsburg, and then the following year, that was I guess 2000, came to Stroudsburg.
So then, when you were at Bucknell, why did you choose like your major? Because like history.
Well, I was interested in history, either to prepare for teaching or possibly going to law school.
Yeah.
I did minor in education, so I was able to get my teaching certificate that way. I don't know what made me decide history other than I enjoyed the subject, and thinking about career options. I knew a history degree would kind of lead me in one direction or another.
So then, before like you decided to go into history, what were you initially planning to do, like as a job career? Or was teaching?
17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
I kind of went into college with that plan.
As to teaching.
Part of that was maybe not really thinking it all through, and really kind of deciding what would be best.
Yeah.
What did I really want to do? Part of that was, the smaller college, and Bucknell is a smaller one. You do have a limited number of major options.
Yeah.
But I kind of went into college thinking about law school possibly or teaching, and history as a major. That was not a hard decision for me to make.
Yeah. So when you chose Bucknell, was it like because it was in state, or is it because it was the best option for you?
Probably a little bit of both. I wanted a school close to home.
Yeah.
I wanted a school in a rural area or suburban area compared to a city. I wanted, or maybe my parents wanted, a strong academic school. And once I took a visit to Bucknell in my senior year, my senior year, I just kind of settled on that being the school for me.
All right, cool. All right, this is kind of like a more personal question, but do you have any siblings?
I do. I grew up with two older brothers and a younger sister.
Yeah.
One of my brothers has passed away. My older brother Bill passed away a few years ago. And I now have a half-sister. My dad's remarried, and I have an 11-year-old, 12-year-old half-sister. She's in 7th grade.
Yeah. So then how was growing up with your brothers and sisters? Like?
Great. I grew up in Marshalls Creek, and we lived kind of in a secluded area in Marshalls Creek. So there were very few kids my age in the community that I lived in other than my siblings, and then maybe one or two other kids. So we had a lot of fun. We were close growing up. Did all sorts of different things. The brothers and sisters would do.
All right. Another question I had is, how would you describe yourself? Like, if someone were to ask you, like, characteristics of yourself.
Well, how would I describe myself, or how would I think?
Yeah. How would you describe yourself?
It's hard to say. I would say I take things certain things seriously, other things not at all. So it's kind of like an all or nothing approach. I'm probably more of an introvert than an outgoing type of person. I value close friendships more than, a few close friendships more than, say, a large number of loose acquaintances. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
I don't have to want for a lot of material items or anything like that. I just want to be happy and healthy.
Just a simple person.
Yeah, pretty much.
So then, other than that, how do you think your colleagues would describe you? people that you work with?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think they would probably describe me as professional. I would think. I would hope.
Yeah.
I think they would probably describe me as quiet. I think even some of the people that I've been working with for years probably would describe me as somebody that they don't know all that well. Yesterday's a great example of that. That silly poem that I read.
Yeah.
People who know me well probably understand that's my sense of humor, but
Yeah.
people who don't, and there are a lot of people that I work with and worked with for a long time who I don't know that well, probably just misunderstood all of that.
Yeah. Really get the gist.
I think in the end, Anthony, I think the number one thing people would tell you is that I'm just quiet, pretty quiet.
So then, when you first came to Stroudsburg, like to teach in this school, like when did you start? Like, did you start when the school was first opened, or did you come later?
No, I came to Stroudsburg. I sometimes forget. I think it was the fall of 2000 when I was hired in Stroudsburg. This school had been open for at least a year, maybe two.
Yeah, I think so.
So it was still relatively new. It was a 789 building at the time. Very crowded, much more crowded compared to today. And my first year, I taught 3 classes here and then 3 classes over at the high school, so I bounced around from building to building. But I was immediately impressed with Stroudsburg, with the quality of teachers, the extracurricular options. I mean, it was a good place.
Do you think we've improved from when you first started teaching here to now, or?
It's hard to say. I have some concerns about some of the recent changes that have been made. Some of those concerns are, I guess, concerns I would have as a teacher. For instance, bigger class sizes
Yeah.
than we've ever had before. Does create more work, on our end, and more difficult to manage and get to know the students. With 30 instead of 22.
Yeah.
I have some concerns about the quality of education. We made some significant changes to the graduation requirements several years ago. Basically has made our educational program less rigorous and also less diverse.
Yeah.
Some electives, for instance, have been eliminated. Now, my concerns with that are really based on the fact that I live in the community, my kids are going to come through the school, and I want the school system to still offer the same quality education that it did 17, 18 years ago when I was first hired. So in the big picture, I would say we're the same.
Yeah.
The teachers are very capable people. I have a lot of confidence in the people that work in the district. The things that are out of our control, I'm not as confident about.
All right.
And I'm not speaking personally as a teacher. I'm speaking more as a parent, knowing that my kids are here.
So then, speaking like from your opinion as a parent, when your children do get to the age, are you gonna force them to go to college, or is that gonna be like their option? Like,
That's a good question. It's a good question. I would like to think that I would give them the freedom to choose on their own.
Yeah.
I think in the end, as long as they have a plan, and it sounds like a plan that they believe in, but also I'm confident
That can be achieved.
that it can be achieved, I would encourage them to follow that plan.
Yeah. So then, alongside with teaching, you've been teaching for how many years?
I think this is my 17th year.
So then, how many years do you think you have left, like, to go before you can call it quits?
That's hard to say. A lot of that's going to be based, I guess, on finances. When I can afford to retire. I'll put it this way: it's not going to happen until, assuming that both of our children go to college, and we don't know that, but it's not going to happen until at least our younger one graduates from college, which would be maybe another 18, 19 years.
All right. So just like an advice, like kind of opinion type of question, what advice would you give to someone trying to become a teacher?
Good questions, Anthony. I think my advice wouldn't be short and simple. If I had, say, a former student of mine or a former player of mine come and talk to me about teaching, and in a way that they were seeking out my advice, I really want to sit down and talk to that person. I mean, there are some things that I really like about the job, but some things that and it's not about what's in the classroom. It's more about board decisions, state government decisions. There are some things that concern me. So I think in the end, the shortest piece of advice I would give them is just make sure this is really what you want. The second piece of advice I would give them is how you get trained in college to be a teacher is all about how to manage a classroom and how to deliver a lesson. But those aren't the only stresses of the job.
Yeah. So
you really kind of need to think about, do you want to work in a school system, or would you be better off working for yourself or independently?
All right. So going along with that, I take it you probably played like baseball in school.
Yeah, I played soccer growing up. I played baseball growing up.
So then, how did you, as a person, like juggle between school and sports, like keep them like together?
One thing I've noticed is I'm kind of happier when I'm busy.
Yeah.
And whether it was baseball or soccer practice after school or something, I was also in like the show choir. I did the high school musical and all that. It was easier for me to manage my schoolwork when I had more things going on.
Yeah.
When I had more free time, believe it or not, my grades actually went down. But I never really, in high school, can recall a time where it was difficult for me to manage things. There were times where I was stressed or short on sleep or busier than I wanted to be, but I never had a hard time kind of prioritizing all of that.
Okay. So then, going alongside like playing school sports and stuff like that, if you could go back to like our age playing school sports, would you change like what you did, like what other activities you took part in?
Maybe a couple of things. I probably would have played basketball all throughout. The reason I did it is we had a very good high school team.
Yeah.
It's obvious that if I wanted to continue to play basketball, I either needed to accept the fact that I was going to be playing all that much, or I needed to get a lot better,
Yeah.
which was really the first. I was never going to catch up to some of the kids in my class, but I probably would have done that, just stuck it out, played all 4 years instead of stopping at the junior high level. Maybe kicked for the football team. I was always kind of intrigued by that. And you see some soccer players doing it now, and that seems to be a pretty cool thing. But I wouldn't make any real major changes.
So
and I can't say with those things with certainty. So it's pretty. I enjoyed my high school experience, so I don't know if I would want to go back and redo it.
Yeah. All right. So, since you majored in history, so then is that like a goal that you had, or is that just because you hadn't really fully planned it out yet?
I don't know how people choose a major. I kind of chose that because history was my favorite subject in school, and I had an idea that I wanted to be a history teacher if I was going to go into teaching. So, I also had an older brother. My oldest brother was a history major and then went on to law school. So it was just a decision based on my interest and what I thought was best for the careers I was interested in at the time.
So then, did your older brother have like a lot of influence on you, like what you went into?
Yeah, but my father was an attorney too, so it was just something I was around growing up and exposed to growing up, and somewhat curious about that as a profession.
Well, that's really all my questions that I had.
Okay.
So is there anything else you would like to add, like for the kids to get to know, like students?
Is this going to be published?
No, I'm just like a general question.
No, no, I don't think so.
Nothing.
No.
Just like.
No, you had good questions.
All right. Thank you.